Okay. So for recording purposes, good afternoon, everyone. This is me, Dr. Sam Habji Jalil, and this is EA300B, Children's Literature, a very interesting course, I promise you. Some of you have already, yeah, and actually most of you have already finished EA300A because it's a requirement, and some of us are doing both EA300A and B. Um, Again, it's the focus is on a different type of literature. We're so used to literature written by and for adults, mainstream English literature. We have done a lot, remember Wuthering Heights, The Sign of Four. We have done even novellas, like Candide. Remember at one point we did also Frankenstein. So this is all mainstream literature. And when I say mainstream, I mean that this is literature written by adults and it is meant to address adults. So this time around, we're doing children's literature, literature that is written by adults for the most part, because I haven't seen, at least yet, or I haven't heard, perhaps it's me, I haven't seen a novel written by, people who are not adults. I mean, they can be young adults, but we haven't seen children taking up careers as children's literature novelists or short story writers. So, children's literature is written by adults and it is meant to address children, but obviously, this is not the end of it because now we have um, seen and we are seeing trends where the cover would say children's literature, the genre would say children's literature, but the themes and the ideas are never childish and or infantile, which means that they also address concerns or the concerns of mature and adult people, people like you and myself. So to say that children's literature is exclusively for children would wouldn't be that wouldn't be very accurate. So children's literature now addresses both adults and children. Um, um, what we're doing in this course, the course is divided into two sections. We have a section on what we call picture books, and the other section is on novels. Novels that we're familiar with in terms of their format, in terms of how they start and how they develop and how they end. Okay, so we're familiar with novels. That's why when we do novels like The Other Side of Truth or Tom's Midnight Garden, they wouldn't be very strange in terms of the format. But if I talk about picture books and you're not familiar with picture books, you may have read them as a child or as children, but to analyze them, to break them down to their basic components, obviously, is something new. It's a new experience. So we're going to start off with picture books and then move on to novels and children's novels because again the main characters are for the most part children. Let's talk about the roadmap, how we intend to cover all this. This is obviously a vast terrain. So in terms of theory, in terms of ideas, we're going to go all the way back to perhaps the 16th century and look at the evolution and the development of the genre that we now call children's literature, how it developed, where the focus was down through the ages and along the line. Um, Again, we need a roadmap, and the roadmap would be the course calendar that we will have. Uh, Let me, I think I need to close this, and I also need to go out of my email because this is going to be very disruptive. Okay. So like I said, we're going to start off with the the course calendar and see what we have and how we're going to deal with the different stages of the course. Let me alert you to the fact that this is a very intensive course. Whatever we normally cover in 4 months, we um, are required to cover in a month and a half. So I'm saying a month and a half because you would take off or take out the vacation that is coming up next week. I mean, times when we have quizzes and midterms and so you end you end up having like 30 to 35 days, more or less. So that would kind of um, push us to consider how we're going to do things. Time is not on our side, like they say. We need to think about it. We need to not waste any single minute. We don't have the luxury to do that, as a matter of fact. Um, okay, let's go to the map or the roadmap or the course calendar and see how we're going to cover um, all of that. Let me make sure that I have the course calendar open. Yes, it is here. So I'm sharing the course calendar. Can you see that?
Yes, doctor.
Doctor.
No. Okay, good. Again, this course calendar does not reflect the fact that we only have 8 or 7 weeks. It is, or the items that we have is divided over the space of 12 or 13 weeks, which is obviously not what we have. So we're going to kind of arrange it in a way. Again, the books that we're having or the primary sources that we're having would be two picture books. The first one is called The Tale of Peter Rabbit by Beatrix Potter, and the other picture book is Voices in the Park by Anthony Brown. And then when we're done with them, we go to a couple of other children's literature books, and they are novels. The first one is going to be The Other Side of Truth by Beverly Naidoo, and the other one is Tom's Midnight Garden by Philippa Pierce. So this is all we have over the space of the months and a half or 2 months that we're having. Okay, so this is what we call the primary sources. This is what we're building our discussions on. Two picture books, The Tale of Peter Rabbit Voices in the Park, and two novels. One of them, like I said, is The Other Side of Truth, and the other one is Tom's Midnight Garden. So let me ask you a very quick question. When I say The Tale of Peter Rabbit, does it ring any bell? Have you done it at any point? Have you read it? Did anybody read it for you, The Tale of Peter Rabbit?
Yes, I see it. Video.
Um, you mean you read it? Somebody read it for you when you were a child?
Sure, actually, it was a movie. I saw the
Yeah.
movie.
So it was adapted to the cinema and you saw it as a movie, right? Nice, good. So this is The Tale of Peter Rabbit. How about Voices in the Park? Have you ever heard of Voices in the Park? It's another picture book.
No, Doctor, is the movie similar to the picture book or is it different uh,
Um,
series? Yeah.
not much happens in the picture book. So obviously, in order to have a 1 hour and a half movie, you have to come up with events and incidents that are not in the book. I'm sure they added to what was there in the picture book. Again, I'm asking about Voices in the Park and whether the title rings any bells, and obviously it doesn't, which is fine. When I say The Other Side of Truth, have you ever heard this title, The Other Side of Truth?
Also, no, Doctor, never heard of it.
Okay,
Actually, no, doctor.
that's
Maybe
fine.
because, doctor, maybe
Yeah.
because of our cultures and countries. Maybe if you ask now about Cinderella or Cinderella, yes, all of us we can
Mm.
read it when we was a child. But
Uh,
these kinds of literature, we don't have any idea about them because they are not aligned with our
I mean,
society.
Cinderella is not Arab either, right?
Yeah, but it's
But
an international.
yes, yeah,
Sorry for
I
interruption.
agree. I agree.
Yeah.
And I think it also has to do with the fact that children's literature is now produced in so many forms and shapes by different people in different countries. So it's very difficult for people to cope with the rising amount of novels that are published every month or or every year. And people are normally interested in mainstream literature. They don't normally focus on children's literature, and they also focus on white, literature and the literature of the Americans and the English. This is, for example, The Other Side of Truth is written by a South African writer. She's white, of course, but she is still South African. So sometimes she's not mainstream, right? Um, Tom's Midnight Garden. Have you ever heard of this title? Tom's
Actually, no,
Mid.
doctor.
Actually, what?
No.
No. Okay. Fine. This was also adapted to the cinema, and you can see it and watch it, filmed.
It
Okay.
was compared. I'm sorry, doctor, for
That,
interrupting.
that's
Um,
fine.
um, but Midnight Garden, it was mentioned in the previous course.
Okay,
It
so
was
it was,
it
yeah,
was kind of compared to another
uh,
novel.
okay, that's interesting, which means that you know something about it. Anyway, I just wanted to know whether you guys are familiar with any of these things. I was not testing you as a matter of fact. I don't have to worry. Okay, so like I said, these are four works, and having them would require that we need secondary material on them, secondary sources. We need to very early to make this distinction between primary sources. When I give you a novel, this is a primary source. When I give you a poem, this is a primary source. when I give you a play like Othello or The Duchess of Malfi, these are primary sources. And then you read material about them, written on and about them, that would be referred to as secondary sources. So if you have articles or essays written about the tale of Peter Rabbit, that would be a secondary source. If you have an article or an essay written about voices in the park, that would be another secondary source. So what are the secondary sources that we're going to use with the concept of picture books, first of all, and with the tale of Peter Rabbit as a picture book? We're going to have a number of articles written by a number of scholars and critics. You will have William Mobbs and his seminal book, and he has a whole chapter on picture book codes, how uh, to kind of decipher the codes and how to decode picture books. We'll talk about what he meant and how he meant what he meant. This is number one, and even before number one, we have a zero source, which is Sharon Goodman's Introduction to Section 5, Words and Picture. This is some kind of introduction to the whole effort. So this is a secondary source, and then you have William Mobbs, like I said, and his book, Picture Book Codes. And then after that, we have Sharon Goodman again, introducing the tale of Peter Rabbit. And the whole section, and then Margaret Mackay, and the title of her article is Peter Rabbit's uh, um, Peter Rabbit, Potter's Story, and then Peter Hollendale, Aesop in the Shadows, and Carol Scott, Perspective and Point of View in the Tale of Peter Rabbit. And of course, this is, like I said, is based on the picture book itself, and the picture book itself is the Tale of Peter Rabbit, and it was written by Beatrix Potter. When we're done with the Tale of Peter Rabbit, we'll move on to the second picture book, which is Voices in the Park, where we're going to have a number of articles as secondary sources. And then we'll move on to the third and then the fourth. This is as far as the primary and the secondary sources are concerned, and how we're going to handle it. Let's now focus on the assessment. So you have, or we have for you 100 marks, and we divide them on a number of assessment instruments or quizzes and exams. We will have two quizzes, like always, and then a midterm and a final exam. So quiz one is going to be out of 5, and it is going to be multiple choice kinds of questions, and it's going to be out of 5, like I said, and it's going to be on the LMS. You're going to do it from home. And then we'll move on to the second quiz. And the second quiz is essay writing. You will give you topics, and you're going to you're supposed to write essays on them. One essay will normally give you 2 topics, and we ask you to choose to write on one of them. And the second quiz is going to be done at the university after the midterm. We're going to set a date after the midterm, and we're going to tell you to come and do a quiz too, inshallah, and it's out of 10. And then we'll move on. Of course, we have the midterm, which is out of 50, out of 30, and it's going to cover the first 3 works. So the midterm is going to feature and include the Tale of Peter Rabbit, Voices in the Park, and The Other Side of Truth. And then the final exam is out of 50, and of course you do it at the university, and it has all the the works, starting with The Tale of Peter Rabbit and ending with Tom's Midnight Garden. And it's going to be questions that range from short answers to close reading to writing essays, inshallah. We'll talk about that when the time is right, inshallah. So, do you have any questions so far?
No, doctor, all clear.
Okay,
No, doctor. It's
No,
okay.
doctor, thank you.
nice, very good. Let's move. Okay, so um, remember I said that we're starting with picture books. And when I say picture books, I mean that we have books, and of course, the associations of the word book would lead us to the idea of having a text. And a text is whatever you read, whatever is written on the printed page. This is a text, nas, okay? But this is when I say a book, but I am qualifying the word book with the word picture. So I'm saying picture book, which means that you will have a text, and together with the text, you will have pictures. So it's a book that has both text and picture, and this is obviously nothing new. We're used to that. We're used to having a book that has illustrations. Illustrations are pictures that make things even clearer. Think back of your, for example, science books. Think back of your when you were in high school, for example, or in primary or secondary or intermediate school. You would have, your science books would have in one page you would have uh, you know, words and sentences and everything, and on perhaps on the other you would have an illustration, a picture that illustrates and makes things. So we're used to that. But what is new is that in picture books, in children's picture books, the picture is as important, if not more important, than the text itself. So in science books back in the day, if you don't have a picture, that's fine because the text can help you understand. But in a picture book or in a book that claims that it is a picture book, you would expect much from a picture. You would expect to have a picture that can reveal it all, that can explain and clarify. So the idea now and here is that you need not to take the picture for granted. You need to engage with the pictures. Not, of course, not at the expense of the text and the words, but you need to have this balance between the picture and the text. In some cases, you will not be able to fully understand the text unless you look at the picture and you look at it very well. So it's not about looking, obviously, it's about also breaking down the components of the picture. Okay, so pictures are not there for us to look at them and that would be it. No, you need to look at the significance lying the underlying significance of the picture. Why this picture and not that one? Why the character, if there is a character, is, for example, given to us close up or down on the ground or perhaps on top. So these ideas are very important. These aspects of the picture book are very important. Where the characters are, where what are they wearing and why, um, what is written, what are the captions written under them, for example. So again, engagement with the pictures is no longer a luxury. It's something very important. It is something very essential. So again, we're talking about the complementary nature of the picture book, where the image or the picture is as important as the word and the text itself. We're not used to that, right? Because in the past, picture books, the concept of picture books was not that, dominant. And also, when we dealt with pictures, we used to kind of focus more on the text and on the words. Again, this is not what we're doing here. We're dealing with the pictures um, in the same way that we deal with texts. In order to understand the text, you need to engage with it, you need to understand it. Again, with also in picture books, you need to also focus on the picture so that you can, kind of come up with as many ideas as you possibly can. The interpretation of a picture book will not be complete unless and until you engage with the picture and you break it down to its basic components. You try to decode the picture. Again, we're talking about positionality, where the characters are, where the things are in the picture. We're talking about page turners. We're talking about colors. So these are all very important aspects that can help you understand and appreciate a picture book. Again, the first picture book that we're having, like I said, is one by Beatrix Potter, and it's called The Tale of Peter Rabbit. So let's look at that now. Let me share um, the book. Okay. So this is the book, and this is the title, The Tale of Peter Rabbit. So if it tells me that it is a tale, you know what a tale is, right? Give me a synonym for the word tale.
Fantasy.
No.
Maybe
A-
story.
Yeah, and a tale is a
Story.
story. So the story of Peter Rabbit. So you would ask, Peter Rabbit uh, um, is obviously a character, right? So you would ask whether this character, Peter Rabbit, whose story we are going to read, whether this character is a human being, whether it's um, so what comes to your mind normally immediately is that if you have Peter, so Peter is the name of a human being. If you have but obviously it's not only Peter that we're having the word rabbit. So it's Peter Rabbit. So we're talking about a rabbit whose name is Peter. Okay. Can we have a rabbit whose name is Peter? Yes, we can. Okay. So we're also expecting that the rabbit is the main character. Can it happen? Yes, it can happen. That animals are given human attributes. It can happen that animals can be characters in novels and in works of art. What do we call this? This is obviously a device in literature, and it has a name. It's a concept, an idea. When a writer gives animals human attributes, I mean, he or she makes them speak, behave, love, hate, and think. So this is called anthropomorphism. Okay, so when I see that the main character, or perhaps all the characters in a novel or in a picture book are animals, I would say that this is an anthropomorphic piece of work. Okay, so obviously this has a history and tradition. So the idea of giving animals human attributes and make them speak and behave and hate and feel jealous and greedy and all those kinds of things. This is uh, um, actually um, something that we have seen all down through the ages, ever since, or we're going to go all the way back to a Greek writer by the name of Aesop. We call him Aesop or Aesop in Arabic. So with Aesop, you have what we call fables, and fables are moral stories where animals are given human attributes, like I'm saying. So obviously, Beatrix um, Potter is not new in giving us animal characters. And along the way, we're going to ask why she's doing that, why she is choosing animals over human beings. And of course, she has reasons. We're going to see also this happening with Voices in the Park, and we're going to ask the same question: why animals, not and not human beings? So wait and see. So again, so the tale of Peter Rabbit. So this is the rabbit that we're talking about. So the writer of this picture book, actually, she's both a writer and an illustrator because she does both. She writes and she illustrates and portrays for herself. So Beatrice Potter, and this is in the original and authorized edition. When I say authorized edition, it means that there are other editions that are out there, but they are not very authorized. And here is the tale. We're going to skim through the pictures. Okay, so we're not doing any analysis yet, and just get a feel of it. Focus perhaps more on the pictures because it's easy to focus on the pictures rather than to read. So reading is coming, no mistake about it. Okay, so I want you, as I move along, I would like you to look at the pictures. Hmm.
Doctor, may I say
Yeah.
something?
Wait until we finish.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the end of it. So, what do you make of what you have seen? What do we have?
Can I, doctor?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Through the pictures, I just feels that there is a mommy, and she has many children to rabbit. One of them is just not following her rules, or just making some attitudes that is not acceptable for the mom. He is a troublemaker. Um, so this is the first thing that I just took it from the picture, and also he is just trying to try something new. He wanted just to go outside to eat whatever he wants, or to have a great experience without the controlling of his mom.
Yeah, that's a lot. Thank you so much. Yeah, Diala, thank you so much. Yeah, that was good. Any other ideas? I mean, judging from the pictures that you have seen, let's
Yes,
have
doctor.
Sarah Muhammad. Yeah, go ahead.
I thought it was the first picture is about family, a mom and her children, but one of them is rebellion and stubborn, won't listen to her maybe. He wants to take his own adventure, try something new. I felt like he was enjoying annoying the the farmer at his
Mm,
garden, but
mhm.
eventually he got tired and like always comes back to his family at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, very good insights. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much. Somebody was raising her hand. We have a number 910 166 6,000. She was raising her hand, or he, of course. Okay, sorry. Um, so again, what we came to know and what we obviously agreed on was the fact that we're having a rabbit as a main character. And it's not only one rabbit, we have a number of rabbits where we have the rabbit as a son, and we have his mom, and perhaps his siblings. And those siblings could be girls and they could be boys, and it remains to be seen, right?
Yes.
Uh, yeah, go ahead.
The purpose of this story to make children understand what happened in the life. Don't take anything not yours. That's it.
Well, we're not talking about the significance or the moral. We're looking at the pictures and we're simply telling what is happening. What's your name?
Bedriya.
Madreya.
What's
Okay.
happening in the story? Do you mean
Yes,
picture? What's
given
happening in
yeah,
the
based
story?
on the pictures, and I wanted to give you a feel of what is going on. And then we talk about the ideas and the themes. We talk about the idea of rebellion, the idea of obeying your parents, resisting and defying authorities, living up to the expectations of society. And we'll talk about all those ideas, inshallah, when the time is right. Um, Again, we have looking at the pictures and gave us insights into what is happening. And you came up with lots of things, again, from the pictures. So what happens if you also read the text? When you read the text and when you read the words and then you look at the pictures and you put them together, you come up with a full idea. The ideas are going to be even clearer. Again, when you look at the pictures, again, you're going to see the characters, portrayed in different parts of the picture. Sometimes they are close up, sometimes they are far, sometimes they are on top, sometimes they are at the bottom. This is obviously very significant, and you need to think of why they are portrayed the way they are portrayed and why they are portrayed in certain parts of the picture. Also, the idea of colors. So, colors and color symbolism is very important, and this is something you need to also think about uh, uh, very well. I mean, okay. So, normally, when we talk, when we have a novel, we normally go out of our way and try to check the biography of the author. We go and check his or her background, what kind of motivations she had for writing the picture book or the novel. So the biography of the author is still important because it can tell us a great deal about the choices that a writer makes in life that can inform his decisions when he or she writes pictures books. And this is or this applies very much to Beatrice Potter. Um, let's go and read. Before we go and read, this is what you're going to do, inshallah, next time. By next time is when? Is it
Inshallah,
tomorrow?
tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
Tomorrow,
doctor.
doctor.
Yes,
Yeah,
Tomorrow, yes.
tomorrow.
yeah, too soon, right?
Yeah.
But that's fine. But the good news is that it's a picture book. It's something that you can consume in one setting. I mean, it wouldn't take like perhaps it would take like half an hour or 45 minutes. It's not big because it has pictures. So I wanted you, inshallah, before you come tomorrow to have read the picture book and to have looked at of course, the pictures and then kind of connect it to the text and come up with ideas. So I'll kind of share it with you. Before I forget, and in order to very quickly share it with you, I would like you to create a WhatsApp group for our class. That we
We
need
already
some
have, doctor.
test. So you already have one. I would like you to share the link on in the chat area so that people who are not part of the group can join it. Can you do that now?
Yes, doctor, I will.
Yes, yes, please. Can you add me if you have my number? Can you add me to the group?
I don't have your number, doctor. Could you please
Mm.
just write down in the chat and I will add you?
I mean, can we ask any member of the group if they have my number? Because I don't want to
I
write it here.
I
Okay.
give
Nagwa,
you.
Nagwa, are you part of the group?
Yeah, but
Right.
actually, it's a group for like a tutor for this course. You know, it's not for ours.
No, we need a
Yes.
group. We need
Okay, I will
a,
make one.
okay, so we need a dedicated group, for our class only, EA300B summer.
Okay, I will do it.
Okay. So, but can you do it now so that everybody can have the link, Yanagwa?
Yeah, yeah. I'm just gonna do it now.
Okay.
Doctor, there is a group for a WhatsApp group if that's what you're talking about.
I'm talking about EA300B summer. Do we have that?
Yes, yes, we have
طيب
that.
طيب خلاص يا نجوى. You don't have to bother yourself. So
I'm sorry.
that's fine.
This group we are in, it's for if you know her, Hamoud. It's her group. She's a tutor, so we cannot add Dr. Sameh to it.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Mm.
Do you
sure.
understand? Yeah.
خلاص. Then yeah, it's a better idea to go ahead. I didn't know that Dr. Sameh wanted to be in it. I'm sorry, I just
Yeah,
joined.
yeah. It's fine. I'm just gonna do
Okay,
it.
Okay,
thank you.
nice. Okay. Fine, let's go back. In the meantime, Nagwa is going to create the group and we are as we go along. So again, so what I want you to do is that I would like you to read a picture book for next time. Okay, now what? So we have the picture book, which is a primary source. And we, of course, we have our ideas, we have our thoughts, we have our critical minds, and we can ask all the kinds of questions. We can do all types of analysis, but obviously this is not enough. Sometimes to feel secure, you need to back up your thoughts and ideas. You need to go out of your way and read what other people said about this piece of work. And this is what we call critical material, and this is what we call secondary sources. We checked for secondary sources on the tail of Peter Rabbit, and I think we were successful because we found secondary sources on the novel or on the picture book. So what do we expect them to say? We expect them to focus perhaps on the themes. People are going to, in those secondary sources, are going to talk about the themes and the ideas that the writer is trying to promote, that the writer is trying to get across. But this is obviously not the end of it because this is a picture book. With picture books, we have, like we said, images and pictures. So some of the critics and those who wrote those secondary sources articles are going to also focus on the picture, highlighting its importance and its significance and all those kinds of things. And some of them may also engage in a bit of history about picture books in general, when they started and how they developed and what their status is now. Um, so let's move on. So secondary sources that we're talking about. So now you know what. So you have only primary source because it's the novel or the picture book. So when it comes to secondary sources, you're going to find that there are many secondary sources. See, so many things. So this is a place where you can find the articles written on the primary source. So we have in the introduction by Sharon Goodman, like I told you. And then when she finishes, you will have another article by by Margaret McKay. It's the title is Peter Rabbit, Potter's Story. And then another article, and it's called Aesop. Excuse me. Aesop in the Shadows by Peter Holland. And then a fourth article by Carol Scott. Sorry, what's happening? Perspective and point of view in the tale of Peter Rabbit. And I think one more, if I'm not mistaken, or perhaps this is a long one. So as a student, do I need to read these articles? Absolutely. We need to read them because they would inform whatever discussion we may have in conversations about the novel or the picture book. Writing, when you write essays, you would also need material. Obviously, because if you focus on the tale itself, on the picture book itself, you're going to run out of ideas. You're going to end up finding yourself retelling the story. So I'm asking you, do I need the story? When we ask you questions, when we ask you to write essays, do we ask you to write the story to give us the plot?
No, doctor.
No, obviously no.
No.
That's okay. So we need you to analyze. So analysis comes from the primary source, and it can also come from what other people are saying about the work. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to read the different articles again because they are very important. So we'll take a 5-minute break, and when we come back, we will talk about some procedural issues, and we continue the talk about the tale of Peter Rabbit. So 5 minutes, everyone. Okay.
Okay, doctor, thank you.
You're welcome. Can you hear me?
Yes, doctor.
Okay, good. So we're back. Are we all back?
Yeah, doctor, we're back.
Yes,
Right.
doctor.
Okay, good. So far so good, right? Interesting. Pictured books where the focus is no longer exclusively and solely on the text. There is obviously more to a picture book than just the text. You need to also consider and think of the images and the pictures, and this is what we're going to be doing all the time. So before the break, I spoke to you about the critical material that you need to read and study very well because it's going to inform the essays that you're going to produce and write. Um, we're not going to read the articles together. We're going to I have a presentation on those articles. So having the presentation would not, you know, I hope stop you from reading the articles themselves. So you need to read the articles. The presentation is going to give you highlights and takeaways, but you need to do the reading yourself. Let me go to the presentation and see what we have in store. Remember, this is the secondary sources part. What do we have here? We have the presentation on the articles that I have just spoken about. So the tale of Peter Rabbit, there is this talk about uh, um, when Peter Rabbit or the tale of Peter Rabbit was published. It was published in 1902 by a publishing company by the name of Frederick Warren and Company. And obviously, there was a lot of discussions as how this can be published, and Beatrice Potter went to different publishers until she settled on having it published by Frederick Warren and Company. How much do we know about the author herself? Obviously, when I talk about a picture book, I'm not only talking about an author. I'm talking about an author and an illustrator. The author is the one who writes the words, who writes the story, and the illustrator is the one who draws, who gives us the drawings and the pictures. Sometimes they are one, like in the case of Beatrice Potter. She is both author and illustrator. So, how much do we know about her? We know that she was an avid sketcher. She used to sketch and draw a lot, and she used to also paint. And she has this special interest in painting insects, birds, landscapes, flowers, fungi, and other plants, and of course animals. What else do we know about her? We know that she's she has this sense of accuracy, and she has a keen eye for detail, especially when it comes to anatomical detail. When you talk about anatomy, تشريح, and the human body or the animal body, its different parts and its different complexities. So these are things that she is keen on reproducing and capturing in her work. Uh, and then we'll move on to talking about picture books and children's literature in general and how it came about. And the first critic that we're dealing with is Wali. And Wali provides a useful historical outline about the business that we now call children's literature, and the idea of having pictures in a book. And he starts, or he goes all the way to the mid 17th century, and he ends those discussions by the First World War. So he was trying to kind of establish and trace the links between the improvements in color reproduction and the increasingly widespread dissemination of books for children. So he was trying to link, they started to kind of add color to those picture books, and they started to kind of reproduce in mass and also disseminate and spread among the reading public. Again, typically, the expenses and how much a book would cost in production were these were very important factors at the time. And the idea at the time, or the agreement, was that we shouldn't invest too much money on those kinds of books for children, because according to the to people of the time, children's books are not um, as valuable as those produced for adults. So mainstream adult novels were more important. That's why at the time they wouldn't invest too much money on children's book. So what do we have at the time, or the result of this kind of neglect and this kind of lack of appreciation of those kinds of books for children? The result was cheap and simplified illustrations. Uh, uh, um, and again, that would take some time until people start to realize that children's literature is as important as adult literature. Again, over time, there is going to be improvement in design and also the quality. And that is partly because of the artists themselves, the illustrators started to take the illustrations of children's book very seriously, and they started to be known on their own. Normally, when you have a picture book, you focus on the author and you neglect, or you overlook or ignore, or you forget about the illustrator, the one who draws. So over time, because of the quality of what they do, because of the improvement of design, those illustrators started to be known, and people started to appreciate the kind of work they produce. So you don't have any longer the idea that the author is more important than the illustrator. No. If the two of them are not important, the illustrator can be more important at times. And then we move on to another critic by the name, a critic and a scholar by the name of Mobbes. And with Mobbes, we go all the way from that time to the second half of the 20th century. And Mobbes is different in the sense that his concerns and his focus is somewhere else. He focuses on the picture book itself. He focuses more on the text, on the pictures, and how the text and the picture can work together to produce a piece of work. So while his interests were extrinsic or outside, he was interested in the history of this kind of literature and how it was produced and how it was received. But with Mobus, the focus is on the text itself. So again, Mobus is a pioneer in the sense that he is one of a few who started to analyze the images, uh, um, so much so that he is now known as a big name in the field and the discipline of visual stylistics. He is an early contributor to this kind of field, visual stylistics, where you focus on the words and you also focus on the images and you put them together and come up with a meaning. So, visual stylistics is developed out of uh, uh, um, the contributions of structuralism and semiotic analysis. And this is what we now call multimodality. So multimodality means that you don't look at only one aspect of the work of art. You look at the work of art in its totality. You consider all the aspects. You consider the image. You consider the text. You consider everything. This is called multimodality. And Mobus is, kind of known for his multimodal approach when it comes to understanding and appreciating picture books. So, what do we mean by multimodality? Multimodality is this close reading of the visual elements of texts. You look at them in their own right. You look at how you can combine the visual with the verbal. Verbal means words, so that you can come up with meanings. Okay, so meaning, according to this multimodal approach, cannot uh, um, be gleaned, cannot be understood unless you have this combination of the visual and the verbal elements. So, unlike other people who would consider picture books as light-hearted and simple, Mobius believes that those picture books lend themselves to detailed textual analysis. You can do textual analysis, and it can be big, and it can be thorough. Uh, um, and if he approaches picture books this way, he is trying to say that pictures books are not simple, they are not simplistic, and to say that they are only aimed at children is not very accurate. So he's trying to elevate the experience of reading picture books. He's trying to say that picture books are bigger than what we think they are. They are not simple, they are not simplistic, and they can also address, I mean, um, people other than children, I mean, adults. Again, the idea of looking at the picture and focusing on the picture and without looking at the context and the sequence is also not very useful according to Mobius. Again, which means that he focuses on where the picture is positioned and the interaction between the words and the pictures and images. What does he say further? He says that you cannot restrict or limit the interpretation of a text or a picture book to only one idea. He says picture books are full of allusions and intertextuality. Intertextuality is when you borrow ideas from other pieces of work. When you borrow images and from other pieces of work, this is called intertextuality, and it's called tanas. Allusions is the same. When I'm reading a poem and I have um, references to ideas from other pieces of work. This is called allusions and intertextuality. And Mobbes is saying that it's because of those allusions and intertextuality that the interpretation of a text is not fixed. It changes. It depends on your background and depending on what age you're reading the novel or the picture book in. Um, Again, he is trying to tell us don't generalize about the meaning of text. Don't say that the text means only this, because it can also mean something else depending on what kind of people we are, depending on where we are in the world, what time period, and everything in between. Um, So again, as you can see, William Mobbes is taking it very seriously, and he starts to kind of classify those different types of visual information, and he collects them in a book so that you can have a toolkit that can help you break down any picture book to its basic components and analyze it. So in this way, he is laying the foundation for recent works in the area, especially visual communication and semiotics. And we now refer to all these efforts as multi-modality, where the focus is no longer on the word, the focus is also in the picture and the complementary nature of whatever is verbal and whatever uh, is visual. So he has a very interesting chapter called Picture Book Codes, where he gives us a great deal of tools that we can use in analyzing a text or a picture book, where he talks about the aspects of the images, like page design and composition. He takes as his case study, he does his work on Morris Sendick's Where the Wild Things Are, which is obviously a picture book. And he analyzes it, he breaks it down to its basic components, and he applies this idea of multimodality to it. So these are the areas that he focuses his attention on every time he approaches a picture book. So the position and the size, the perspective, the framing, the line, and of course the color or colors. Excuse me. عندي محاضرات. قدمت اعتراض ولا ما قدمتش؟ مش عارف. انا مش عارف ايه اللي بعتته لك، قالت لك مبروك النجاح، ما بس عشان بس بسجل اديني ربع ساعة طيب. ماشي. Okay, so we're talking about Mobbes still. And Mobbes identifies ways of thinking about an image in a picture book. And those ways and those aspects are position and size, perspective, framing, line, and color. Again, like I said, he applied this to two picture books. One of them is Anthony Brown's picture book version of Hansel and Gretel, and the other one, like we said, is, you know, Morris Sendex, Where the Wild Things Are. And then we'll move on to another article by another scholar, Margaret Mackey, and the title of the article is Peter Rabbit, Potter's Story, and she focuses on perhaps the meaning that we can get out of the story. So, in her essay, Margaret talks about the different versions of Peter Rabbit. Uh, um, and obviously, we have so many versions depending on how they were widespread at the time. Um, of course, the different versions are produced with different levels of quality, and that would, of course, affect uh, um, how people approach them and how they appreciate them. So, Mackey focuses on the idea that a picture book is a textual work of art. So, it's a work of art, but it's textual, it's verbal. She looks at the different aspects of the picture book. She looks at the quality of the artwork itself and how those different versions were reproduced in different editions. Um, she does her work on Peter, on the tale of Peter Rabbit, and she explores the importance of words, illustrations, and how they combine the illustrations and the words on the page. She also looks at the other elements of the book, like design, size, positioning of words and images, space between and around the words and the images. Um, and then we have Sharon Goodman. Uh, and she has a section on, of course, the tale of Peter Rabbit, and like we said, Margaret Mackay's Peter Rabbit Potter story, where, like we said, and they analyze a number of things. They look at the language, the distinctive language of Potter. They look at the pictures and their positioning. They look at the balance and how it is maintained between words and illustrations. They also look at the page turners. um, she normally looks also at the style of the writer, and she focuses on Potter's writing style, and she describes it as being brisk. And she has this very smart observation. She says that with Potter does not talk down to her young or younger audience, which means that she doesn't use a language that only suits children. So instead of going down to the child and using a language uh, uh, that is tailored for him or her, she writes in a natural way. Perhaps this way she can elevate the level of the child. So again, we spoke about Mackey considering any picture book as an art form. She looks at the physical characteristics of the physical characteristics of the book and its internal design, and how those physical characteristics and how the internal design can influence the meaning. So for her, pictures are narrative, or they have a narrative function. They help with the narrative. She looks at the page turners, and she looks at them as one way of showing that the author is in control. Again, for her, page turners create a pause in the action, and it brings about opportunities for suspense and surprise. Again, she also joins in the debate on um, the issues that the novel or the picture book, uh, uh, stirs and sparks. Issues of gender, morality, and everything in between. And then we move to Peter Hollendale. And with Peter Hollendale, the focus is in proving, he is trying to prove that, um, Potter was not one of a kind when it comes to anthropomorphism, using animals as as characters with a moral purpose. So the title of the article that he wrote is Aesop and the Shadows. He starts off with talk about Beatrix Potter's personal history, and then he looks at the uh, the book, the picture book, Peter Rabbit, and he says that it can be an animal fable. So fables, like I said, are books where you have animals, work. Um, you have animal characters, and they behave like human beings. They are given human attributes. So Hollendale is trying to prove that this has always been there since Aesop, the very famous Greek writer, hundreds and thousands of years back in time. What is interesting is that Hollendale is saying that we shouldn't be focusing on morals and moralities when it comes to those kinds of picture books. Yeah, morality can come, but we shouldn't force it. So for him, Beatrice Potter didn't write moral tales. So if there are moral ideas, they are there because they have to be there, and that's it. So he doesn't look at Potter as a fabulist, somebody who writes fables with a moral lesson at the end. He sees her as a post-fabulist naturalist. He believes that she is uh, um, an author who has this talent with animals and drawing animals, and she doesn't have a moral agenda up her sleeves, like they say. She focuses on nature and the realities of nature. Again, we said that she comes in a long line of authors who gave animals roles in their work, and he says that some of those forerunners are people like Aesop, but perhaps the difference between her and the other writers is that she doesn't have an instructional agenda. So for him, saying that Potter is a moralist is not something that he agrees with. And then we move to the last one. And the last one and the last article here is Carol Scott, Perspective and Point of View in the Tale of Peter Rabbit. Again, she focuses.
Doctor,
Or yes, go ahead.
sorry to interrupt one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
The previous critical, he critiques Margaret, yeah? Not Beatrice. He criticizes Margaret, not Beatrice, right? So the
Which one?
criticals,
This
the
one?
previous, Peter Hollendale.
Yeah, he normally he criticizes all the critics that say
Ah,
that Beatrice has a moral agenda, that she has an instructional agenda, that she writes in order to give moral lessons. He says, no, I don't believe that there are moral lessons involved. And if there are any, it's not intentional. She didn't mean it. She focuses on the aesthetics of the work, whatever
In
makes a
general,
work. Yes,
thank you.
you work. Again, the last one would be Carol Scott, perspective and point of view. Again, she is showing us this ambivalence towards the work, and she says that Potter is ambivalent. Ambivalent means that you cannot really know whether she's giving us, she is with what Peter Rabbit did or not, whether she liked the idea that he said no to his mom and went against her instructions and decisions, whether she is for that or against that. She is very ambivalent. She also focuses on the idea that somehow we as readers are made to identify with Peter, to sympathize with him. He is framed in such a way so that he can appear as the hero of the tale, and this framing is done visually and also in words. Again, Scott is interested more in ways as how images and words can be combined. Again, she's giving us examples that would show us that Beatrice is or wants us to sympathize and empathize with Peter. Peter is often shown in close-up and near to the ground positions, and because he is a rabbit, he is near the ground, but close-up, and he is normally in our. We share Peter's line of sight, and this is an indication that Potter is trying to make us identify with and accept Peter's point of view. And even we may even participate in his dilemmas and predicaments. Again, which would make it clear that perhaps Potter is against the figures of authority as represented by the farmer, Mr. McGregor. Again, the focus is on the images and their function in, getting whatever messages the writer wants us to get. And that would be the end of this. Again, I would like you, this is a presentation on the articles, but it doesn't mean that you don't need to read the article. You still need to read the articles. I'll send them now when we leave from here to the WhatsApp group so that you can read them for tomorrow. Remember two things that you're going to do. You are going to read the primary source, which is the text itself, the Tale of Peter Rabbit. And I would like you to, as much as you can, to read the articles. I'll stop on this note and with this item, and I'll give you time to, if you have any questions, go ahead.
Doctor, please,
Yes.
could you tell us when the first quiz will be?
I'll, as soon as the LMS is up and running, I'll post everything on the LMS, perhaps the day after tomorrow, inshallah.
Okay, what about our book?
What about your book? I'll share with you whatever I have. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome.
Doctor, I have a question, but it's
Yes.
relative from this course. I tried to reach out for you through email. I know that you're busy and Allah يعطيك العافية, but if you can reply to me as soon as possible, it's really necessary.
Is
And I
this the only
can't,
course that you're taking? This is the only
it's the
remaining
last
course?
one. Yeah, it's the last
Mm,
one.
okay.
So I think you know my email then.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. If you
So
could reply
yeah,
just to make sure what should I
I
do,
mean,
inshallah.
we don't have. I mean, you need to focus so that you can have the highest mark possible. This is the only thing. We could have recommended another course if you have other courses,
But
or even
inshallah, it's
if.
possible to get hired, inshallah, through this course.
أيوة, why not? يعني it depends on you يا سارة. يعني work hard and we're not going to
I
stop
will, I
you.
will, inshallah, I
Mm,
will. But
inshallah.
maybe if we suppose it's a B, is it enough?
Inshallah. It
Inshallah.
can
Thank you
be.
very much.
Yeah. Nagwa, go ahead.